Alright, good day everyone. So today we're gonna do another unboxing video. And this time, it's gonna be the SH Monsterarts Mecha King Ghidorah, the Shinjuku Decisive Battle Special Set. But before we begin, I'd like to invite everyone to please subscribe to the channel and hit on the notification bell to get the latest updates on the hobbyist. So, yeah, let's begin. So, this thing came into the mail this morning, and what I did is I asked around Facebook, YouTube, whether or not you want to review this figure or the Higa Toys Rodan, and this thing won by a mile. So yeah, without further ado, let's start the review. So this is what the brown box looks like. So, English translation, Mecha King Ghidorah, Shinjuku, Decisive Battle Special Set. Also has some branding information, Tamashii Nation logo right at the bottom. Bandai logo, SH Monsterarts, Bandai Namco. So that's what the front of the box looks like. On the other side, on the sides, really nothing to see. At the back, just a simple SH Monsterarts and the same translation in Japanese. The barcode again on the other side, nothing to see. So yeah, that's what the brown box looks like. And what we are gonna do is we are gonna open the box and see what the actual box looks like. Okay, so this is what the actual box of the SH Monsterarts Mecha King Ghidorah looks like. So it's really huge. I mean, it barely fits our very small table right here. But yeah, so this is what the front of the box looks like. Again, some branding information, Bandai Namco, Bandai Tamashii Nation seal, some trademark information at the bottom, and of course the movie title, Godzilla vs King Ghidorah. So this, if you're not familiar with the figure, this movie actually was released in 1991. It's actually the first Godzilla movie that I ever watched as a kid. So just a quick story. I was pretty young Godzilla fan. So my cousin and his friends went here and rented a Betamax tape of Godzilla, and probably this is the only movie they could rent, and that's Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. And I tell you, this is when I first saw Mecha King Ghidorah, it's probably one of the best 7 minutes of my life. Enjoying there, watching this very cool monster battling out with Godzilla, and I really couldn't understand anything. I just knew they were fighting, they were smashing all the buildings up. It's pretty cool. I loved it, and I love the franchise ever since. Anyway, the original Mecha King Ghidorah was already released by SH Monsterarts like years ago, and I wasn't able to get that one. And for sure, that original figure probably cost right up in the alley of around 700 to 1,000 bucks. So when SH Monsterarts decided to re-release this figure, I told myself it's a no-brainer. I should get one of these. It's what got me into the Godzilla franchise in general. So yeah, so again, going back to the box. So this is what the front of the box looks like. On the top, it just says Mecha King Ghidorah SH Monsterarts Shinjuku Decisive Battle Special Set. On the side of the box is just another pose of the figure with the Mecha King Ghidorah here. And let me just put that back. Yeah, and the Japanese translation, and of course SH Monsterarts. And then on the other side is just the text. So it's the classic, I'd say it's the classic SH Monsterarts box. So it's really big, and it could barely fit the table that it's sitting on. And at the back, Okay, so this is what the back of the box looks like. So again, the glorious Mecha King Ghidorah. And some of the poses, some of the gimmicks that it has. It doesn't have lights, but of course that's just effects. But a lot of effect parts, sorry, and the damaged wing. So I am super excited on what this figure looks like. So without further ado, we are gonna open the box and see what the actual figure and accessories look like. Okay, so out of the box, this is what we have. So we have the Mecha King Ghidorah figure. We also have the capture devices. So we have 4 capture devices. So 2 for the arms and 2 for Godzilla's legs right here. We also have the machine hand right here. And we also have those drill tail parts, so they come detached. And finally, we have the damaged wing parts. And what's really interesting on how they implemented the wings, and I'll say it right out of the bat, the pattern of damage on the wings is actually consistent to what it looks like in the movie. So when Godzilla fired its atomic breath on Mecha King Ghidorah's wings, this is the actual pattern if you look at it, and it's mind-blowing because when I saw the movie, the patterns are the same, what it looks like, how big it is, how big the damage was. So it's really cool by SH Monsterarts that they did that. And of course you have a Tamashi stand for you to support the capture devices and the machine hand. So what we're gonna do next is we are gonna look at the figure and see the sculpt and the paint application of the figure. Okay, so in terms of sculpt, I love what SH Monsterarts did with this figure. Even all of the minute details from the Mecha King Ghidorah in the movie is right here. All of the vents, all of the intricate details and panel lines, all of it is in this figure. I tried looking at the movie again, watching the movie again, and see, you know, with some of those short glimpses of the details of Mecha King Ghidorah, and try to see what it looks like on this figure. You know, it's really spot on what they did here. Even the back panel of the wings, it's really what it looks like in the movie. And I love what they did with the front panel of the wing, which has somewhat of that waffle pattern, if you will, on the wings. Really reminiscent of what it looks like in the movie. And so every detail here that you see in this figure was sculpted with great accuracy on what it looks like in the big screen. So I love what SH Monsterarts did here. So it's basically why SH Monsterarts is SH Monsterarts. So they're known for sculpting their Godzilla figures. Well, probably except for the Monsterverse figures, but yeah, the Japanese Godzilla, they did this thing with pride, with love. It's really an amazing figure, to be honest. I'm blown away with how it looks like. Now, moving on with the paint application. Actually, that was one of the concerns that I had, because when I saw some of the reviews, I was concerned that the cockpit of the pilot, or the kitsu, would look the same way as how they treated the rest of the body. And I'm happy to report that it does look like there is someone in there. You know, it looks like those frosted glass, if you will, that's reminiscent to what it looks like in the movie. And I love how they painted the reds on the figure, basically the lights. So if you look here, it's not really like the Mechagodzilla 2021, wherein the lights are pretty bright. If you recall watching the 1991 film, you would see that the lights are pretty matte in color. The reds are pretty matte in color, and SH Monsterarts did just that perfectly. So really good job by SH Monsterarts in painting this figure. And I also love how they did the wings. Although yeah, you could argue that it's pretty clean. The everything, I mean, all the metal parts are too clean. If you see the movie, there's really a lot of dust, a lot of dirt, a lot of afterburns on the figure. I mean, on the character Mecha King Ghidorah, and that's basically absent on the paint. And that's something that you could do yourselves depending on how you would pose it. There are a little bit of weathering going on, but it's really not enough. For me, it's still really too clean, especially the back panel here of the wings. So as you can see, the paint is basically spotless and all that. I also love how they painted the drills, although of course in the movie it's really, it's just there. But the thing is, yeah, it's also painted consistently. There are no bleeding going on the paint. The only thing that I actually don't like on the paint application for Mecha King Ghidorah is how they painted the teeth. So as you can see, the teeth, that's actually the only thing that's bothering me. Because if you look at the teeth, it's just pearly white, and yeah, there's really no weathering going on. So as you can see, it's pearly white. But other than that, the paint application is really good, and it's consistent all throughout the figure. So even on the mechanized head of Mecha King Ghidorah, I love how they painted the eyes as well. So the eyes is colored green. It's actually pretty good if you ask me, and especially if you put some more light on it, it's probably gonna shine better. And even the roof of the mouth, there's actually a missile inside there. Yeah, that's reminiscent of what it looks like in the movie. So as I've told you before, all of the details here and all of how they treated the figure and all the colors that they've used is really reminiscent of what it looks like in the movie. So yeah. And one thing I like to highlight in the sculpt also is how they implemented the wires, so to speak, connecting Mechagodzilla's head. So this is similar to what they did with Kiryu, and this is something that I actually was pointing out when I was doing the review for Mechagodzilla 2021, the Monsterverse version. So I wish that they have implemented the same thing on the pistons of Mechagodzilla, so that would at least allow some more movement on Mechagodzilla, and you don't really have to remove the pistons anymore. But yeah, it is what it is. They implemented it here, thank God. And so yeah, that thing, I was kind of concerned before when I had my Kiryu figure, and I told to myself, I hope that's not gonna break. And so far it held up really well for me, so I'm pretty confident that it's gonna be the same thing with this figure. You have to be a little bit careful when you're moving it, because there are some details, especially on the back right here. So if you try to move the torso of Mecha King Ghidorah, that thing will actually hit the tail section of Mecha King Ghidorah. So yeah, and that thing is made of plastic, by the way, so you could risk damaging the paint. So just be careful when you're moving the figure. But overall, this is just a great sculpt. What we're gonna do now is we are gonna attach some of the other accessories that this thing has, so that you could see what it looks like with the damaged parts and the grappling devices of Mecha King Ghidorah. Okay, so I've attached the damaged wings on Mecha King Ghidorah. As you can see, as I've mentioned earlier, the damaged wings, the pattern on the wings are actually consistent to what it looks like in the movie. So I love how SH Monsterarts did those patterns, and you know, took the time to really nail the same thing as what you saw in the movie. The only thing that I noticed is that since it's already damaged, you should be able to see some, you know, burn marks on where Godzilla hit its atomic ray on Mecha King Ghidorah. And as you can see here, it's pretty much clean. The wings are pretty much clean. There's no weathering whatsoever. There's no burn marks, just the holes. But how they did the holes on Mechagodzilla's wings are basically amazing. And by the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to show you like how to attach the wings. So basically what I do is I straighten out the wings first, like so, and then I pull the wings out, and then basically that's how you replace it. And then if you are gonna put a new one, then do the same thing. You just insert it, and there you have it. Now we'll insert the capture devices. So basically you just open up the hatches on Mecha King Ghidorah. So there's 4 of them. So it's basically the same thing. And basically what you're gonna do is just insert it. There's a peg right here. Let's see if I can focus it. Yeah. So there's a peg right there. And all you need to do is just insert the peg onto the peg hole, and there you have it. So one of the capture devices is now inserted. So the wires or the cables on Mecha King Ghidorah's capture devices are actually made of the same material that they've used for Gigan's chains or whatnot. And at the end of the chain there is this hand right here. So yeah, so that's how it is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pause this video right here, and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like once all of the grappling or the capture devices are already installed. Okay, so we've installed the capture wires already, and now we are gonna fix it on the base. So to fix it on the base, there is actually a peg hole on each of the capture wires, and that's to support them on the base. So like say this one, all you need to do is to plug it in onto the base like so, and that's basically it. And you do the same thing to the other wires basically. So you plug it in and you do the same thing on the other arms. And finally, what we're gonna do next is we are going to install the machine hand. So that's what it looks like. So it's a bendy wire, so you could actually pose it any way you want. So yeah, so those are what the machine hands looks like. So basically, if you have Godzilla here, and it could actually open and close like so for the arms and the legs. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so for the machine hand, again we're gonna use the Tamashi stand right here. And what we're gonna do is first we are gonna remove this chest piece right here. So you don't really have to force it. All you need to do is just use your fingers basically to support both ends and just pop it right off, right like that. And then on the chest, as you can see, there are some holes here, and that fits perfectly with the pattern on the machine hand right here. So all you need to do is just to line it up. Yeah, so just line it up, and insert the machine hand on Mechagodzilla. So as you can see, it's quite heavy, and that's partly because the machine hand's cables are actually made of metal. So yeah, so as you can see, Mechagodzilla tends to lean forward if the machine hand is connected to it. So that's why you kind of need the Tamashi stand to support the machine hand. So again, underneath the hand itself is a peg hole for you to attach the Tamashi stand. So all you need to do is just to line it up and then just put it in, and yeah, there you have it. So that's what the machine hand looks like. In a way, if you ask me, I love how SH Monsterarts implemented the hands and the capture devices. They are also reminiscent to what it looks like in the movie. So yeah, the machine hand, there's some details going on. These pistons doesn't move, so it's just the pincers on the machine hand that moves. So yeah, again, the cables are made of metal, which kind of gives me the impression that they did that on purpose, as they are releasing a 1991 Godzilla, and I'm guessing that the reason why they are gonna release a Godzilla 1991 is so that it fits the machine hand right here. And so if you haven't gotten the Bio Goji, and if you're a completionist, then by all means you should wait for that figure. So anyway, yeah, so that's the accessories. That's what it looks like with the accessories. So what we're gonna do now is we are gonna look at the articulation on this figure. Okay, so in terms of articulation, let's start off with the heads. So for Mecha King Ghidorah, it has 3 heads. So the organic heads are connected by a ball joint. So actually, yeah, so it has ball joint on the neck area, and then the mouth opens and closes. It's connected by a ball joint as well. And then the tongue you could actually move, and it's also connected by a ball joint. And then for the mechanical head, the nice thing about this, it's also connected by a ball joint. The mouth opens and closes, but the thing is, it's connected by a ball joint. So mine tends to squirm that way, but you could always correct the pose. Yeah, so it's connected by a ball joint. So the whole neck are a series of ball joints. So for the organic head, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So those are 11 ball joints on the organic head. For the mechanical head, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 joints on the mechanical head. Now, the thing is with the mechanical head is because of the sculpt, and because they try to hide most of the joint marks really on the head, is that it limits the movement quite a bit. But since it's still connected by a ball joint, so you could still move the head ever so slightly. And I love what SH Monsterarts did here, because they really captured, you know, the mechanical feel of those joints, even though, you know, you're trying to put some grooves in there, and it has to look like a machine. So it's not supposed to be an organic figure. So and they've captured that perfectly in this figure. Although yeah, it does limit the movement a little bit, but yeah, but with a little patience, you could actually move the head really well. Anyway, uh, moving on to the body. So the body is actually connected by a swivel and hinge combo. So it moves up. Actually, no, I stand corrected. So it moves with a ball joint. So it moves all the way around, like so. Again, you have to be mindful of how you're moving it, not to force it because it's gonna hit the back of the metal of, sorry, the plastic part on Mechagodzilla's back. So, but yeah, because of the sculpt, but it's moving all the way around. Now, with the wings, you could actually move the wing all the way back, like so. It could also move up and down at some point. Okay, up to that far and all the way that far going up. Again, be mindful in moving the wing because it's gonna hit the back part of Mecha King Ghidorah. So just a forewarning so you don't chip the paint. But yeah, you could move it up that far and down all the way that far. And then the wing can actually move very much that far and move back all the way that far. So yeah, there's really a great deal of motion on the wing. So it's connected by a hinge and a swivel combo. And then finally on the legs are also connected by a ball joint. The knees is a double hinge. Actually, no, it's a ball joint. No, it's a double hinge on the knees right here. And finally, the feet is connected by a ball joint. Moving on to the tail. So the tail is, if you have like the bootleg King Ghidorah, it's basically the same thing. So it's connected by ball joints. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 ball joints. Yeah, all the way to that metal tail end. And the tail end is actually acts like a drill. So there is a ball joint there. Yeah. So yeah, and the tail moves all the way around, which is cool. Something that they should have done with the Mechagodzilla from the Monsterverse Mechagodzilla. But anyway, yeah. So it is what it is. And one thing to note in terms of sculpt, the end tips of the wings, the one below and the one above, is actually made of metal. I'm not entirely sure why they opted to do that, but if you hold on to the wing tips right here, it's actually made of metal. They probably did that to make the figure more durable. It's a nice touch, but those tiny wing tips here is made of plastic, so that's something that you need to be careful of. So yeah, so it's a combination of, but it's mostly plastic, but there are some metal parts, especially the wing tips. So anyway, so that's what the Mecha King Ghidorah looks like. So anyway, what we're gonna do next is we are gonna compare this figure with the other figures that you might have in your collection. Okay, so this is how the SH Monsterarts Mecha King Ghidorah stack up against its co-star. So we still don't have the 1991 Godzilla, but we have the closest thing to it. So it's the Godzilla here, or the Godzilla 1989. So as you can see, it stacks up perfectly. And in terms of height, it's actually a little bit not really a little bit, it's 3 inches taller than Godzilla, conservatively, unless of course you raise the head of Mecha King Ghidorah all the way up. So it stands at around 9 inches if it's posing this way, but if you are gonna pose it all the way up, it stands to around 11 inches tall. Anyway, that's how it stacks up with Godzilla. Now, what if you have the Mechagodzilla 1989? So we have the Mechagodzilla 1989 here. This is the, again, the Bio Goji. So as you can see, well, it's probably not gonna work. It's a little bit, Godzilla's a little bit too tall for Mechagodzilla here, but yeah, so that's kind of what it looks like in terms of scale. Now what we're gonna do is we are gonna compare it with the other figures that you might have in your collection. Okay, so this is how the Mecha King Ghidorah stack up with the Monsterverse characters. So this is Godzilla 2021 and Mechagodzilla 2021. So in this scale, if you follow the actual height of Godzilla 2021, then Godzilla should be a little bit more taller than this. So yeah, Hiya Toys nailed that scale, if you ask me. So if you have the Hiya Toys Godzilla 2021, then it's gonna scale better to this King Ghidorah or Mecha King Ghidorah compared to this Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. So, but Hiya Toys doesn't have a Mechagodzilla yet, and once they do, then it should, if they follow the same scale for their figures, then it should scale better compared to these two figures. Anyway, now we're gonna move on to the other Godzilla figures that you might have in your collection. And so finally, here is Mecha King Ghidorah stack up against Biollante. So for me, this is really a dream matchup, and I hope that Toho does this sometime in the future. But yeah, so this is how they scale up together. So as you can see here, Biollante could actually be taller, but it's gonna look a little bit weird. But yeah, so this is how they stack up against each other. Okay, so my final thoughts about this figure. It's an awesome figure. It's a breath of fresh air, to be honest. For me, seeing how SH Monsterarts stumbled on their Monsterverse line, and the Monster X figure that I've reviewed also was pretty horrible. To see a figure that's implemented this way reminds me why SH Monsterarts is SH Monsterarts. They nailed it on this figure. The sculpt is amazing. The paint application is top notch. There are, like, you know, the teeth, they could have done it better, but how they did the cockpit on that one is really reminiscent. Everything is really reminiscent of what it looks like in the movie. I love this. I love the paint application. I love the articulation. Something that I also failed to mention on the review is they didn't include gravity beams on this figure. That's a shame, because and probably some, you know, effect parts like electricity coming out of the cables right here. That would have been cool, right? But it is what it is. It's something that you could actually customize and do for yourself. You could even buy some cheap ones online. Like in Shopee, they also have those effect parts, those kind of thunderish effect parts online. So that's something that you could remedy on easily. And if you have the time, you could also customize it. We might release a video doing that for this figures, just to give this figure enough justice for what it is, because it's really an awesome figure. The damaged wing parts, to be honest, are really, really good. I mean, they really nailed it. The details on these wings are amazing. They are reminiscent on what it looks like in the movie. Yes, it's expensive. It's right around, it's almost 300 bucks, to be honest. Here in the Philippines, it's the SRP on this one is 14,700 if I'm not mistaken. Of course, if you pre-order it, it's gonna be more cheaper, but it's still an expensive figure overall. Anyway, yeah, for what it is. And I think the bigger question here is, what if you have the original Mecha King Ghidorah, and basically you're gonna pay an arm and a leg just for the damaged wings? Is it worth it? Well, that's kind of where the dilemma happens, if you ask me. Because what are you gonna do with the original figure, since you already have, I mean, the first release, if you already have one of these? For me, I mean, if it is my figure, of course I know that it's gonna sell for more. And if there are completionists out there who are willing to shell out more cash, I would probably sell off the first release and get this release right here. I know that it's still gonna go up, you know, being a more complete figure, if you ask me. And yeah, this figure is amazing. You're really getting a lot on what you have right here. For me, it's even worth it to buy this figure than to buy, say, the, I don't know, the Ghidorah figure. But the Ghidorah figure is pretty awesome. You have like 3-4 figures in one set, right? And for me, I mean, this is just a dream come true for a Godzilla collector like me, who really missed out on the first release. Now that I have this, so this is probably, you know, if you're a fan of Godzilla, if you're a fan of the movie, and you don't have the original release yet, then I suggest that you grab one of these while it's still on sale, because it's probably not gonna be there forever, and for sure, once the new stocks run out, you know, the aftermarket is gonna be ridiculous. And I could just imagine how much they're gonna be selling this figure in the aftermarket. So while it's still available, while you could still have a chance to get one of these figures, I suggest that you do. It's really an awesome figure. It's a joy to you to move and to play with. It's incredible. I mean, yes, I wish that they had gravity beams with the figure, but it is what it is. It's something that we could do. It's something that we could buy online anyway. So if I were you guys, I'm gonna get me one of these. So anyway, yeah, I guess that wraps up our review. And so again, if you haven't done so already, you could always follow us on our other social media platforms. We're available on Facebook, The Hobbyist. We're also available in Instagram, _Hobbyist. So yeah, I guess that's it for me, folks. Again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And so yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.